Hi everyone, I'm Tori. I'm your GTA for experimental psych this fall. I wanted to say hi and introduce myself because I'll be recording and uploading the lab videos that you'll watch every week that correspond with the assignments that you're doing in SPSS. So I also wanted to give a brief walkthrough of how to access SPSS for an online course. And if you've done this before, great. You're a seasoned veteran, but also um, there has been a change in the specific like Horizon client, like basically the application that is used for the virtual lab. So how you access SPSS remotely. It used to be called VMware Horizon Client, and I believe the instructions still refer to it as that because I think it was just this semester that they changed it. And if none of that rings a bell to you, that's totally fine. Starting from scratch works too. It's very easy. Uh, but I just wanted to give a heads up for anyone that may have used it before. The name of the specific application has changed, but it's the exact same thing. The steps are exactly the same. So I've uploaded the instructions in the laboratory module on Canvas. So you'll just need to open that up. And I'm not going to walk through it like step by step just because it's pretty simple and I've done it before. So I'll just show you how I do it. But if you feel like maybe there's some more other useful information, or if you just want other details, um, or more of a step-by-step on, installing it, feel free to refer to the full instructions. But yeah, so you'll need to go to the link that I just followed, which is the desktop.okstate.edu. So it's going to prompt you, and again, it's still labeled as the VMware Horizon. So if that rings a bell to you, that's literally what it is. It's just called something different now. So you'll hit the install. And so you can see this is the new name, Omnissa Horizon Client. But what's important here is you just need to find the correct download file for your operating system. So I have a Mac, I already have it downloaded and installed. But if you have Windows, just be sure you get the correct download file or it won't work. So yeah, I'm gonna switch to showing you what the application looks like. So you've installed the Horizon client on your computer. You'll just find it in your applications. Again, it's called the Omnissa Horizon client. And then I think there's a way to make like a shortened passcode for login, but I haven't used this. I haven't downloaded this, the Omnissa version of the file. As I mentioned, we used to use the VMware. So it's just gonna send me a duo push, and then you're gonna log in with your single sign-on. It's loading the desktop app. And again, it looks just like if you were on campus using one of OSU's computers. It takes a minute to load up. Once you have it open, um, and if this seems obvious, I just want to share because I learned it the hard way. When you're logging in, you are not necessarily accessing the same hard drive each time you log in. So maybe in an in-person class where you're like taking a class in a computer lab, you pick a seat for the whole semester, and every week when you log in, you can access, your user drive on that computer and access the files you save each week. With the virtual lab, you are not doing that. You are being rerouted to a different hard drive each time. At least that has been my experience. Again, I haven't used this updated Horizon client. So if anyone, you know, happens to test it out and finds that what I'm saying is, outdated, that's totally fine. I'm just going to go ahead and give this as best practice so no one runs into those issues. So what you should do is, use Chrome or whatever browser. You're going to need to log into Canvas to download the data sets that you need to be working with in SPSS. So you're going to have to download those from Canvas so that you can open them up on the virtual lab. So again, if you have the data sets downloaded like on your personal computer, you're not going to be able to access them when you go to the Horizon client, if that makes sense. So you're going to have to go to the browser anyway to go to Canvas and download whatever data set you need for that week's assignment. And then I also recommend, signing into your OSU email through like Outlook or Google Drive, Dropbox, whatever you use for like sharing files across devices, whatever system you use. But I just recommend having that open. And just before you know, walk away or log off, you send the files to yourself, upload them to your cloud sharing system, just so you have those. And again, you might finish the assignment in like one session that you're using the virtual lab. You still need those so that you can, and again, you could like upload them to Canvas while you're in the virtual lab, or you can, but I still recommend saving them so you have them, obviously. So, but you might need to break it up into multiple sessions. Maybe you just have certain chunks of time to work on your lab assignments. So you want to be able to pick up where you left off. So you need to upload the files to like a cloud account that you can access later or email them to yourself. Um, but as we see, SPSS is right here on the desktop. It usually takes a little bit to launch. Um, but there are usually 3 files that I would recommend saving. Again, it's not necessarily that you're going to turn in all 3 files for every assignment. I have no knowledge of the assignments. That is all, they're all developed by Dr. Andrade. So I'm just saying best practice when using SPSS. These are the 3 files that you're going to need. You need the dataset file. And, as I mentioned, you're downloading the data sets from Canvas. Like we provide the data set that you're going to be working in, and there's a specific assignment instructions that you're working in that data set on for that assignment. So sometimes you're creating a new variable or doing something related to changing the data set that you want to be sure you have access to later. Again, if you're picking it up, or even for a future assignment, or even just to like look back to like what did I do? How did I change this? There are so many different reasons you could need it, but I recommend saving the new data set under a new name so you have the original data set and okay, that's where I started, and then like these are the changes I made. So don't overwrite it necessarily, like overwrite the data set where you have now just one file. My best practice is to have the 2 different versions. So I know this is what I started with and this is where I ended. Another file that I recommend saving is your syntax. That is basically showing what you did to get the output that you have. So any of the results that you're reporting for your assignment, the syntax is what tells us how you got there. So what analyses did you run? And again, not saying that uploading the syntax is going to be necessary each time, but it's also helpful for, future assignments. Again, looking back and you're trying to figure out, maybe you have the data set file and then you have the output file. But you're like, for the life of me, cannot remember what I did to get this output. It's really helpful to have your syntax file to go back to, because even if you're working in a new data set with completely new variables, you can see, oh, this is the syntax I ran, or this is like what I need to do and edit it to make sure it reflects my like new variables, my new data set, whatever it may be. But it's really helpful in terms of, again, being able to go back and say, I have no idea how I got this table with these results. I don't remember. So save the syntax file. And then finally, save your output. Output is 100% the most important. This is, usually we have our output that then we compare your output to, and that's how we grade your assignments to see if you did it correctly. But again, I learned this the hard way. In my first statistics class, I think I only saved my output because I was like, that's what I'm turning in. But then I think I went back to the assignment and realized maybe I had done something wrong. So I needed to keep working on it. Um, and I had to rerun the analyses because I didn't have the syntax saved, so I couldn't just rerun everything. Um, and then I couldn't remember how I got a certain answer or a certain output. So I really recommend saving those three. Really helps for throughout the semester to be able to look back on those or for a specific assignment. Again, sometimes it's a matter of um, you're working on the assignment in multiple, like across multiple days or something. Um, so you need to be able to go back and know where you left off, what you were working on specifically, and not start from scratch, because that is essentially what happens when you don't have all of those data files saved and you can't figure out how you got a certain answer or where you need to go from there. Um, you're like, oh, I have to create this variable again. You know, sometimes you're recoding a variable or creating a filter variable, and with large data sets especially, but just in general, it's a huge time saver if you're like, oh, I created that filter variable and I have it to go back to. I recoded this variable and I have that data set to go back to. I have the syntax that I used to recode that variable. So again, if that sounds like a lot of information that maybe doesn't make a lot of sense, it will make more sense as we work throughout the semester in SPSS. But yeah, essentially, as I mentioned, you would download the data set from Canvas, and then you would be able to open the data set here. Yeah, so you'd like search your downloads after downloading those from Canvas. That might be a lot of information, but again, just some best practices to keep in mind as we get started with these assignments in SPSS. Okay, so that's how we access SPSS. In terms of installing and logging in, you know, it's pretty straightforward, although if you're having any issues, be sure to go through the full instruction document, or, you know, we might just point you in the direction of IT. They're pretty, you know, quick with responding to students. Don't wait until the night of an assignment being due and expect to hear back from someone. But in terms of the next day, I usually hear something after I put in a request, and or even the same day sometimes, depending on what time of day you reached out to them. Um, and in terms of other information I shared, you know, just some best practices, you know, probably too much information, especially for just starting the class and not having seen an actual assignment yet. But if I can help any of you avoid the same mistakes I've made previously that have lost me progress on an assignment, and I have to work extra time on it to redo parts of the assignment. So if I can help anyone avoid that, I will always try to do that, even if I have to overshare to do so. But yeah, please feel free to always reach out with questions or concerns. My email is on the syllabus. I have office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 5. If this time doesn't work for you, you just have to let me know to schedule something. I'm always willing to schedule a different time to meet, but you just have to give me some notice so I know to plan around that. Um, but yeah, so for next week, the lab video is actually going to be uploaded by Dr. Andrade. She has, you know, a good tutorial for your annotated bibliography. So she will upload that. And after that, we'll start having lab videos about the SPSS lab assignments. But yeah, I'm looking forward to working with you all, and I hope you have a great weekend.